President Trump announced a steep 35% tariff on Canadian imports effective August 1, up from the previous 25%, and warned of higher rates if Canada retaliates, intensifying North American trade tensions. Trump hinted at blanket 15% to 20% tariffs for most other U.S. trading partners, a broad move expected to disrupt international commerce and rattle global markets. Trump's tariff escalation was communicated in a letter to Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney, which also threatened further hikes based on Canada's response. Trump linked the tariff hike to Canada's alleged failure to control fentanyl flows into the U.S., calling it a threat to national security and the economy. PM Mark Carney pledged to protect Canadian workers and businesses while continuing negotiations with Washington ahead of the August 1 implementation deadline. The tariffs do not yet apply to goods covered under the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, USMCA, offering partial relief for some sectors. Trump's administration signaled that 10% tariffs on Canadian energy and fertilizers may remain unchanged, but final decisions are pending. Canadian officials pushed back against Trump's fentanyl claims, stating that only a tiny amount originates from Canada and that cross-border cooperation is improving. Carney reaffirmed Canada's commitment to working with the U.S. to combat fentanyl trafficking and safeguard communities in both nations. Financial markets reacted sharply, with U.S. and EU stock futures dipping on fears of broader tariff escalations and economic instability. Trump's trade offensive expanded to other allies, with Japan, South Korea, and others facing new duties, including a 50% tariff on copper. Investors await Trump's pending announcement of EU tariff rates, raising concerns of a full-blown US-EU trade confrontation akin to the earlier US-China trade war. In an NBC News interview, Trump confirmed blanket tariffs for all non-exempt countries, bypassing diplomatic notices in favor of universal tariff implementation. Trump stated, "All remaining countries are going to pay," suggesting a shift from bilateral negotiations to unilateral tariff impositions on a global scale. Myanmar's ruling military requested that Trump reduce its 40% export tariff to between 10% and 20%, expressing willingness to send a negotiation team to the U.S. The president of the Philippines is expected to meet Trump in Washington this month to discuss the 20% tariff on Philippine goods. Canada, the second-largest U.S. trading partner, bought $349.4 billion worth of American and exported $412.7 billion to the U.S. in 2024, per Census Bureau data. Carney, recently re-elected on a pro-trade platform, aimed to secure a new U.S. Canada Economic and Security Pact by July 21 before Trump's tariff announcement. Trump's letter did not specify trade negotiation progress but warned that tariffs could be adjusted upward or downward depending on U.S.-Canada relations. Canada canceled a planned digital services tax targeting U.S. tech giants last month after Trump abruptly suspended trade talks, calling the tax a blatant attack.